Hey there, groovy guys and groovy gals. This is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad and marketing gunslinger. Thanks for joining me this week for another uncopyable rambling from Steve Areno here. I got three things that I want to talk to you about this week. You know, I'm always looking for examples. I'm always looking for ways to have lessons or examples that we can get that I can share with you and help you to see how you can become uncopyable to your competition, because that's really, really important. We've got to separate ourselves from the competition. And of course, that's what my book, Uncopyable: How to Create an Unfair Advantage Over Your Competition, is all about. And many, many thanks to those of you who have already purchased it, and especially those of you who have written really nice reviews on Amazon. I appreciate that very, very much. But I've got three great examples for you this week, from this week, that I've picked up this week. And to make sure that you stay and watch this video, my favorite one is number 3. So stick around, okay? So let's get right into it, and I'm going to tell you exactly and these are examples that are based on things that came out of my book, all right? So example number 1, which is an example of creating the rules of competition that I talk about in my book. In other words, that, you know, don't play by the rules that the other competition has established or that the industry has established. You want to create your own rules of competition. And the big example this week actually comes from Amazon, who clearly has written a lot of new rules of competition over the years. But they made a big announcement this week that my smoking hot wife Kay found in Bloomberg and shared it with me. And here's the headline. The headline is: Amazon wants Cheerios, Oreos, and other brands to bypass Walmart and Costco. Yeah, to bypass Walmart and Costco. Now, you know, one of the things that I know that Amazon, one of the things that they want to try to do is they will try, their objective is to try everything, try to sell everything online, and then the stuff that doesn't work, then they just stop selling it, but they won't know until they try everything. And so here they are. Now what they've decided to do is they are going to go after the big brands, and they are going to try to cut out the middleman. In other words, disintermediation with both Walmart and Costco. And gee, what were Walmart and Costco both guilty of when they first came out and started really taking the consumer world by storm? Gosh, they were guilty of trying to cut out other middlemen who were out there as well. So let me put my glasses on. I got to read a couple of parts of this article here for you. So Amazon.com has invited some of the world's biggest brands to its Seattle headquarters in an audacious bid to persuade them that it's time to start shipping products directly to online shoppers and bypass chains like Walmart, Target, and Costco. So in other words, they're going to have executives from General Mills and Mondelez and all these other big packaged goods manufacturers, and they're going to try to talk them into skipping past, say, the Walmart and the Costco, and go direct to the consumers via Amazon. Now, what does that mean from their perspective? Well, it means that they don't have to do the fancy package designs anymore. They don't have to fight for shelf space in the store, whether they're in the top shelf or bottom shelf or something like that. They don't have to go into slotting allowances, that type of stuff. They can just set up the deal with Amazon, sell direct through Amazon, go straight from the factory to Amazon to the consumer, which means that they can just ship in cardboard boxes. I mean, just plain old boxes, right? They don't have to do anything else. So number 1, that is, Amazon is creating the new rules of competition. And if you think about, okay, are there ways for us to create new rules, or even just a new rule of competition, then let's go try and do that. You know, you can read more about that in my book if you're not familiar with that. Okay. Number 2 is an example of stealing genius that was sent to me by BFF Sarah Free, who works with Jarvis Cutting Tools. And Sarah is one of my top BFFs, man. She's, here's a picture of her holding Uncopyable. Yes, she is beautiful, and since my smoking hot wife Kay is watching this, that's as far as I will go with that. But Sarah shared with me an article that came out that was entitled "Porsche hires Disney Institute to revamp the dealership experience. And essentially what they've done is they're planning a new dealership training program to begin later this year in an effort to improve their in-person customer experience. And so they're hiring the Disney Institute. And what they're saying is that the Disney Institute was chosen for their innate ability to please the customer and focus on delivering a guest customer experience. So this is a classic example of stealing genius from somebody who does not is not a part of your world, right? There, Disney is clearly not a part of the automobile retail world, so to speak. So the dealerships, the Porsche dealerships, are going to learn from Disney how to create a better guest experience. That's a great example of stealing genius. And you can look around for other examples like that and say, okay, what are they doing? And Disney is always a great example to use for so many things because they are my number one example of uncopyable, an uncopyable business for so many different reasons, and pretty much all the reasons that I gave in my book, Uncopyable. How to create an unfair advantage over your competition. Buy it today on Amazon. So that's number 2. And then number 3, my favorite one, is actually from me and my smoking hot wife, Kay. Because we were kind of sitting around going, the book is out. It's on Amazon. It's online. In several, you can get it on Target, you can get it on Barnes and Noble, you can get it, this, and of course, one of the fun things about being an author is that you want to walk into a bookstore, whether it's a local bookstore or even at the airport or something like that. You want to see your book on the shelves. It's a huge thrill to walk in and see the book that you worked so hard on to be in there. And so we were kind of laughing because I went over to Barnes and Noble, the store, one of the stores that's still open, and it's near here in Federal Way. I went in because I thought, you know what? It's been about 6-7 weeks since the book came out. I wonder if it's starting to get out to the retailers or not. And so I went into Barnes and Noble just to check and see, and it was not there. Not a big surprise, but I hope it's there sometime. However, I was walking by one of the a section in the business books that was all about that had the top business books. And what did I find? Look at this. Yeah, in the top right corner, there is my book, Uncopyable. Guess what? I put it there. I put it there myself. We call that reverse shoplifting, which in uncopyable lingo would be innovation, would be new, would be uncopyable innovation. Is that the idea? The question is, how do we get into Barnes and Noble? Where there's a typical way is that you got to sell it to Barnes and Noble, or you sell it through Ingram Distributing. They get it to Barnes and Noble. Barnes and Noble then puts it on the shelf and has it out there for sale. And but what I realized was that, what if I did something like reverse shoplifting? See, so when I walked in there, I was carrying a copy of my book. And when I got back there to that business section, in that section right there, where we're, looking right there, that spot where my book is now was empty. So I put my book there, and it's still there. I think it's still there. Kay and I went there yesterday just to check and see, and it's still there. So anybody here in Federal Way, Washington, who wants to run over there to Barnes & Noble, what would be kind of funny is that if you go in and you say, and you go back there and my book is still there, and you take it and you go to the front desk as if you want to buy the book and see if you can buy the book, see what happens. But anyway, that's an example of reverse shoplifting. And I learned that 20 years ago, something like that, more than 20 years ago, when my first book came out. And I don't remember who taught me that, but we had a lot of fun seeing that and taking a picture of it. So there you go. 3 different examples of things that came out that happened this week, that all 3 are talked about in my book, Uncopyable. So number one, the Amazon example of creating the rules of competition yourself. Number 2, stealing genius, having an idea. See, the concept was Porsche wanted to enhance and improve their guest customer experience. So they asked themselves a question, who is the best at doing that? And the answer was Disney. So they went and they hired Disney to come in and teach them how to do that. And number 3, an example of uncopyable innovation is how do I get a book in? reverse shoplifting. And that's an example of looking at how things are typically done and then just flipping it to the exact opposite. So that's new innovation. So there you go. That's what we got this week. Hope you enjoyed those 3 ideas. Maybe they'll stimulate your thinking on something you might be able to do this week to be uncopyable. I'll be back again next week. Appreciate you joining me. This is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad and marketing gunslinger. Thanks again. And always remember, you be uncopyable out there.